it's time for me to review Scoob. Now, I love Scooby-Doo. I do. But the real mystery for me with this film is why is it so bad? Now, Warner Bros. Animation, the people behind this film and the animation, because it's an animated film, they have shown that they can be original and creative with films like the Lego Movie, Iron Giant, two I can remember the most, but they've shown recently that they can be creative. But Scoob is not creative, and it is not original. Now, the first warning sign of this is when Matthew Lillard found out through Twitter that he wasn't going to be voicing Shaggy, even though he's been voicing Shaggy since 2006. You also had the Grey Griffin, who's been voicing Daphne for 15 years, didn't even get asked to come and voice Daphne. She even posted on Twitter when this film was released that it was too much for her to watch the film, that she just can't bring herself to watch it because she's so hurt by not being Daphne in this film. We also had Kate Micucci. She has been voicing Velma since 2015, and there has been a few different voice actors for Velma, but she was a good pick for it and should have been in this film. But they just get all the voices wrong in this. Frank Walker, I think that's how you say his name, who has always voiced Scooby-Doo, and he also voiced Fred, but he doesn't voice Fred in this. He voices Scooby-Doo, so it's the only voice actor they really brought back for this, because Zac Efron voices Fred. I guess that voice works, but it's weird to have it and not have other people that are better at that voicing it. And the Shaggy voice from Will Forte just isn't right. It goes all over the place. Sometimes you think, oh, yep, it sounds like Shaggy, and other times you're like, nope. Matthew Lillard, who had taken over as Shaggy from the other voice actor, he was perfect as Shaggy. He had Shaggy down to a T. Velma just doesn't sound right in this, by Gina Rodriguez, because everyone online now is like, oh, she's Latino. I didn't know that about Velma, which is weird now, I guess, but it's, it's a thing apparently in the Scoob universe now. Daphne is voiced by, if I can remember this, Amanda Seyfried. I don't know how you say that name, but yeah, voiced by her. So that it's more like they just wanted to get big names on this film, and not really like they actually wanted to make something that was true to Scooby-Doo. To me, Scooby-Doo is always going to be them going to creepy houses and investigating creepy things and castles and haunted houses and just all that type of stuff, and just finding out that the people that behind all of it are just people in masks. And you get that at the beginning of the film, but it shows them as kids. This goes into the modern age, because when you're first introduced to Shaggy, it's him as a kid, but he has an iPhone, and he finds Scooby on the street, and the only reason that he's called Scooby is because he's eating Scooby snacks, which I always thought Scooby snacks were like a thing that came into the Scooby-Doo cartoons because it was something that they had sort of created themselves, and it looked like Scooby-Doo. So it's weird. It's a weird pick for the whole kid part, and it's meant to be that Daphne is dressed up as Wonder Woman as well, but it's more of the newer, updated Wonder Woman. So it's a reboot in many ways. And I understand people are going to be like, it's a reboot. They can bring on new voice actors. But here's the thing. They have done so many different versions of this show in the past 4 years. There's been 4 different new series that have come out. I think there's been even more than that. But they have still got Matthew Lillard's come back, Grey Griffin's come back, and Kate Micucci has still come back to do it. They've still been in those shows, so it doesn't matter if it's a reboot. You still have those same voice actors on it, and it doesn't feel right. It's the studio sort of going behind these people's backs that have been voicing these characters for ages and just been like, nope, sorry, I didn't even want to bother getting in contact with you. It's just, yeah, that's where it feels wrong. But I want to get down to the story of Scoob. Now, we get an opening of the film, like I said, when they're kids, and then you see them, the mystery as them growing up, and they're doing all these things of going to haunted houses and going after characters like, there's like Frankenstein and all these other things appearing, ghosts appearing, and it does the whole Scooby-Doo opening and shows all these sort of creepy places they're investigating, but it never goes back to that because the film turns into a superhero story. because that's not stale, is it? We really needed a superhero story to be brought into the Scooby-Doo universe. But I guess Scooby-Doo did meet the WWE people as well, so the animated films have been mixed, but when you think about it, for the big on-the-screen Scooby-Doo film, you would think they would do a better idea than superhero. Now, it's a film full of Hanna-Barbera Easter eggs, and if you look closer, you can see a Kung Fu Pooey poster on the wall in an arcade, and it throws all those things in there. There's a point where the Hanna-Barbera stuff feels very forced and overdone, and yeah, I'm happy to see some Hanna-Barbera characters, but it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. I know they have license for them and they want to try and bring them, but you could have done separate films with these Hanna-Barbera characters. But I guess the Top Cat movie didn't really work out, so maybe that's why they thought, let's just ram all those characters into this very quickly. So we can just be like, hey look, these characters are in here, let's just put them into something else. I am glad this got released on VOD, because I think if I had have seen it in the cinema, I would have just felt so drained by it, because there's nothing really fun with this film. At the start, I was hoping it was going to be okay, because they're out trick-or-treating, they go to a haunted house, and weird things happen there, and you're like, oh, this feels like original Scooby-Doo, and then it just takes a completely different lane and doesn't do anything that I liked. And I get there's going to be people that like this. I went through IMDb reviews of Scooby-Doo fans that like this, but for me, it's not Scooby-Doo. This is not Scooby-Doo in any way. It doesn't feel right. Scooby-Doo for me, like I've said, is him and the gang investigating a mystery in some creepy place. But that doesn't happen here. The animation, it's alright looking. Like, I think it looks nice at points. There are points where it looks really weird and a bit outdated. And that's the one thing about this film. It feels very outdated. There is a point where Shaggy and Scooby, I think, or some other people are flying around a spaceship, and Bombs Over Baghdad by Outkast, a song that came out in 2001, starts playing over the top of the film. There is other songs from like 2006 that start playing, and you're like, why does this film feel like it should have been released in 2008? It doesn't feel like a film that should be released in 2020. Blue Falcon does a DJ set at one point and plays a very, very old song. If it wants to try and update the story a bit, and it wants to say, hey, we're set in modern time, why play such old songs? Why do a story that we've seen too many times before? I didn't need to see Scooby-Doo in a superhero costume. I didn't need to see that. It's a shame that last year we got the sequel to Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island is one of my favourite Scooby-Doo films. And they did Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island. And it was really bad because in that, the whole gang gets broken up and they aren't really investigating a mystery together. And that's the case with something in this film. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like the gang. It's really weird. And it's a kid's film, but at one point they just keep making dick jokes. Scoob is an enjoyable film. I really didn't like it, and it gets a 1.5 out of 5 from me. 1.5 out of 5 is just the animation, and that's it. But it's disappointing. They should have just brought back the original voice actors, because Velma her voice is meant to be like this squeaky sort of voice. Sounds like her nose is bunged up a little bit. In this, she just tries to say cool words and act cool, and I'm like, this isn't Velma. This isn't Velma here. What are we doing? I really wanted to like Scoob, but I've seen a lot of bad movies this year, and Scoob just takes it in the bad movies. It's not atrocious, but it is bad as well. I just didn't enjoy it. If you've seen Scoob, send in the comments down below if you enjoyed it. What was your favourite thing about it? Also, if you didn't like it, why didn't you like it? Let's talk about it. If they're going to do a sequel to this, they really need to do something better than what they've done here. That's all for today. Thank you very much. Goodbye.